All right, let's talk SIG Fuse and the Icarus Precision X Macro Grip Module. I did kind of a part one video on this about a week ago or so regarding the Gideon and how I had some issues at a match. I reached out to Gideon about a week ago and still nothing, left on red unfortunately, so take that however you want to take that. Let's talk about, though, the rest of the build. This is like I mentioned, a SIG Fuse, the 4.3 inch barrel, right? The full size SIG P365 essentially. It's their, I guess, like competition take on the slimline or a full size carry gun in a slimline frame. It's in this weird position, right? Like if you like full size guns like this M&P 4.25 that is a little easier to hold on to for larger hands. Then I don't know if the SIG Fuse will kind of do that for you, at least in the stock configuration with the 17 round grip and the full size slide and barrel. It's a little weird, as a lot of you guys know. But here's what I wanted to talk about. So I've said this in probably every single video that we've ever posted. I have rather large hands, so I tend to carry full size guns. I carried this 4.25 M&P for a while. Now I carry my 5-inch M&P. That's out in the kitchen somewhere probably. Just because it gives me the full-size grip that I'm looking for, plus the capacity, and just that full-size feel, right? So, first things first, shout out to Icarus Precision. They actually sent me out this frame. It came in raw aluminum, and we kind of did our thing to it. So, huge shout out to the guys over there. Tyler, if you see this, love you, buddy. Here's what the X Macro Grip Module does for the Fuse, and honestly, all other P365s. For me, the stock grip module felt very skinny, felt very small in my hand, pause. Wasn't that ergonomic. I just wasn't a huge fan, to be honest with you. And that's obviously by user. Some people love it, some people don't. But the nice thing about it is there's a ton of options on the market for other grip modules, which helps the user kind of tune it to their liking, right? I've used the Wilson Combats before. We have a Tyrant CNC grip module coming. But currently, as it sits, like I said, we are running the Icarus Precision X Macro frame. And so here's a couple reasons why I absolutely love this thing. It makes the slimline Fuse feel in hand like a full-size gun because they added all the right ergonomics to this thing, and it really handles like a full-size gun. So the first thing that I want to touch on is this massive hump. Palm swell, grip swell, back strap, whatever you want to call it in the back, that really kind of accentuates the grip in your hand. It really fills up, it's hard to tell, this kind of palm area. So it makes it feel like a bigger gun because there's more surface area. The extended beaver tail, or exaggerated, really gives you a super high purchase on this thing mixed with this back strap. It kind of shoves your hand up into this crevice and does a phenomenal job of staying locked in. Other thing is they added double undercuts. So big cut here, huge cut here. And then they also added a little swell to the front here. It's hard to tell, but just in your primary hand or your strong hand, it does everything it can to keep the gun in your hand, to give you the highest purchase possible. And then the added knurling texture that you get on essentially the whole grip makes this thing like impossible to slip out of your hand, which for a tiny gun or a slim line makes all the difference in the world. And then something that I love to run on guns, even though it's kind of shamed upon, but I like them, at least on most guns. They actually have ambi, on this configuration at least, an ambi gas pedal, so on the left and the right side. So unfortunately I am wrong-handed, as a lot of you guys know, and even for my right hand, my support hand, there's a little gas pedal here, which helps, I wouldn't say drive the gun down, but it really helps, again, just helps maintain you locked in. So this hand's locked in because of the texture and all the ergonomics. You get a huge undercut here for your support hand, and then I like to call it more of a reference point for your support hand thumb, so that every time you draw the gun and this hand meets with the gun, you have somewhere to essentially index, and it just ensures a repeatable, consistent grip, which I absolutely love. As you can see, this thing kind of disappears in my hand because I have rather large mitts, but I mean, this is as locked in as you'll get with most guns. And this being a slimline, again, it gives you the feel of one of those big ass guns, right? Which I absolutely love. The other thing I love is the added weight. So it's not a huge difference. I don't know the math on it. I don't know the stock compared to this, but there is added weight. Here's what it does with the added weight. In my opinion, the SIG fuse with the long slide and the polymer grip, it ends up being very, very, very nose heavy. So a gun ends up feeling very tilty when you're presenting, which is not a problem, but I don't like it. The added weight of the metal grip module makes this thing more ass heavy. So when you present the gun, it feels balanced. And if you've ever shot or carried or competed for that matter with a balanced gun, and some of you will know what that means, some of you will not, it makes truly all the difference in the world. It feels like you're fighting the gun less. The return to zero feels a little bit better. The recoil impulse, in my opinion, feels slightly better as well. So this feels super balanced for a long nose gun or long slide gun with a short frame, right? Here's really the only negative in my opinion, or the only one that I can think of as of now. When it comes to slimline guns or compact guns, carry guns, things like the Fuse or the 48s, the Glocks, the 365 macros, they all come with a polymer frame. And polymer frames, as a lot of you know, they have a little bit of flex to them when you're shooting. They give a little bit. So you tend to not feel it as much in your elbows and wrists, and your hands over time. They're just a little bit more forgiving, and it makes the recoil impulse slightly different. And when you're shooting a slimline gun or a carry gun like this, or like the guns that I just mentioned, they tend to be a little bit more violent when you're shooting. Like the recoil impulse is just more snappy, so you end up feeling it a little bit more in your hands and your wrists at that matter. When you put a metal frame on a slimline or carry gun, well, there's no flex. So all the impulse, all the kinetic energy goes into your hands, goes into your wrists, and goes into your elbows. So it'll feel softer when you're shooting, I think, because it's more balanced. But over time, you'll feel it a little bit more in your wrists, if that makes sense. That's really the only negative I can think of. Being a metal frame, you do end up feeling it a little bit more over time, but there's a trade-off with everything, right? I will take the balanced gun, the ergonomics, the gas pedals or thumb ledges, and trade-off of the added flex of a polymer frame. Hopefully that makes sense. Actually, the only other downside I can think of is just holster fitment, actually. If you don't wear a light, then holster fitment can be kind of tricky just due to the ergonomics, the trigger guard mainly, and then the thumb ledges. That can cause a little bit of issue with most like OEM holsters for the SIGs, just because the geometry is very much different. But if you run a TLR7, AX, HLX, whatever variations are out there, the TLR7s, it should fit all holsters. As far as I know, that's the only really negative I can think of. Because I was going to touch on the price point. These come in at, I believe, like $450, roughly, right? Don't quote me. Somewhere around there. But to be honest, all other aluminum or metal grip modules for most guns come in at that same price range. So I can't really say it's a negative because they're competitive with everybody else, which I think is very important. So that's just my opinion. I shot a match with this last Sunday, so about a week ago exactly, actually. Ran great, except for the Gideon issue that we had. That's still unresolved, unfortunately. But even with those downsides, if you're on the market for a metal grip module, I think Icarus Precision makes one of the best ones out there. Not because they sent this out to me. I truly think this has some of the best ergonomics on the market. The texture is phenomenal. The thumb ledges make a big difference. And they're competitive with everybody else. So if you have a fuse, if you have an XL, if you have a P365, they make the ACE module for every single configuration you can think of. The fuse, the XL with a PMM comp or ramjet, the shorty, the base XL, everything. Go on the website, icarusprecision.com. They have everything you'll need. Some stuff's on back order, but if you're on the market and considering picking one of these up, take my word for it. They are extremely, extremely worth the investment. It will completely transform the feel of your SIG. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.